Hello, and welcome to this tutorial on installing the Android Studio on Windows 8.1. It should work just as fine on Windows 8 as well. Today we're going to install the Android Studio, the Java Development Kit. We are going to configure the Android SDK Manager, and then we will go ahead and define an Android virtual device that you can use in your testing. So let's get started by downloading the necessary components to do our install. So we'll go ahead and fire up a browser and go out and locate the Java JDK, which is the Java Development Kit, and then the Android Studio executable. So let's get Java first. Just go ahead and do a Google search for Java. And you can, excuse me, you can click on this first link that you find here. Hit the free Java download. And let's go for all Java downloads here. And we are looking for the JDK, so click on this link and then go to JDK downloads. No doubt there's a more expedient way to get here, but I figured I'd show you the path anyways. And then hit JDK download, and it gives you a list of the downloads available. You're going to click here to accept the license agreement, and I'm going to grab the 64-bit of the JDK. So if I click on that, it'll start the download and ask you where you want to save it. I'm going to cancel that because I've already downloaded it and it's on my desktop, but that's how you get the Java JDK executable. So open up a new tab, type in Android Studio, you can hit the first link, and this is the download page for Android Studio version 0.8.0. Keep in mind this is a beta version, so some features aren't implemented and it may not be particularly stable, so you might want to not use it for a production environment. Go ahead and click the download button. It's going to take you to a license agreement. You're going to want to agree to that and then hit the download button. And again, I'm going to cancel because I've already got it downloaded, but I wanted to show you that it does give you some additional instructions here in case you need them. And we will actually deal with this when we do our install. So now that we have the components we want, let's go ahead and start the install. We'll start with the Java Development Kit. So you can double click that. Go ahead and hit yes when it asks if you want to allow it to make changes to the computer. And now the installation wizard is up. So you can go hit next. I'm going to deselect source code because we don't need it, so it'll speed up install just a tad bit. Hit next. And we'll let the install go. Okay, so now it's asking you for the destination folder for Java, and you can go ahead and leave the default unless you have a reason to change it. So hit next. And there you go. So that's a successful installation of the Java JDK. Let's go ahead and hit close. Now we're going to install Android Studio. So find the executable you downloaded, double click on that. Go ahead and hit yes when it asks you if you want to allow it to make changes to this computer. And when the Android Studio setup wizard comes up, you can hit next. I'm going to install it for anyone using this computer. So hit next. Actually, let's back up. I want to show you something real quick. SDK Manager will need to run as administrator later. So that's just something to keep in mind. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and do install just for me. Maybe that'll take care of that problem. Hit next. Gives you the install location. We'll accept the default. Hit next. Start menu folder, and then install. So that actually does what we were talking about just a second ago with the administrator stuff, bring up a good point. If you ever have problems with the Android Studio or even Eclipse ADT bundle, if you right click on the icon and do a run as administrator, that'll usually take care of things. Most user accounts on people's personal computers have administrator access. and permissions, but for some reason things don't always work as expected. So if you run the program as administrator, it oftentimes takes care of those issues. Okay, so installation is complete. You can go ahead and hit next. And if you want to start Android Studio now, you can leave that checked and hit finish. Let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so this is an error that's common on Windows. Basically what it's saying is that Android Studio cannot find our installation of the JDK. So we can go ahead and fix that by creating a Java home variable and environmental variables. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK. This is basically going to point to where Java is installed on our computer so that Android Studio knows where to find it. So open up File Explorer and navigate to where Java is installed. Go to the JDK folder. Then you can come up here, do a Control-C to grab the path or write it down or whatever you're most comfortable with. And let's go back here to our list of apps. And you want to get the control panel. Click on System and Security. Then click on System. And then right here you have Advanced System Settings. Click on that. Click on Environment Variables. You'll notice here in System Variables we have no Java Home variable. So we want to add new Java underscore home. And then we can paste in the path here to the Java installation. Hit OK. OK. And OK again. Exit out of there. Come back to our list of apps. So we got Android Studio, which I'm going to go ahead and pin to the taskbar just so it's down there. Let's go ahead and hit start, and now it'll start up just like we hoped it would. So it's a pretty easy fix. You may actually have that Java home variable already set if you've got a previous installation of Java, and so you may need to change it to point to one that works for Android Studio. So you might just have to mess around with this. So this is asking complete the installation. Do we have any previous versions? We want to import settings. We don't. So we're going to hit OK. And now Android Studio is firing up and getting ready to present us its first screen. Okay, and here's the first screen for Android Studio. Notice a number of things. First of all, it's telling us that there's an update available. We're going to hit skip that. You can also tell down here that there's an update available. We're running 0.8.0. I know there's a 0.8.2. We're not going to worry about that right now. From this screen, you can create a new project, import a project, open a project. If you have version control, use that. Multiple configuration things and some docs and how-tos. We want to configure the Android SDK right now so that we can start working with our BuzzTouch project. So we're going to hit the configure link. And the SDK manager is not present. And so I believe that has to do with the fact that we didn't run this as administrator. So I'm going to exit out of this. And let's right click here. And we're going to have to go back over here, unfortunately. Let's go back to Android Studio. Right click, and we're going to do Run as Administrator. Make changes, yes. So let Android Studio fire up again. This time, hopefully, if we hit Configure, the SDK Manager is there. So if it's ever grayed out, it's because you need to run this as administrator. And the reason for that is because it makes changes to your hard drive, creates some folders, and does some install and stuff. So let's go ahead and hit that button, and it'll start the SDK Manager. I'm going to minimize Android Studio back here. So what it's doing now is it's looking for all the things that we have installed, checking to see if there are any updates, and then giving a list of things that we can install as well. So there's an update to the SDK tools. We'll want that. It's asking us to install Google TV stuff. I don't want to, so I'm going to deselect all that. I also don't want any Google Wear stuff, Android Wear, so I'm deselecting that. We do want Android 4.0 because that's what the BuzzTouch projects use, so we'll hit the SDK platform and the ARM system image. And then we want Android support library, we need Google Play services, and we also need the Google repository, I've learned. So we'll go ahead and grab that, and we're going to leave the Google USB driver. So let's go ahead and hit install some of those packages. Click up here to highlight it, accept the license, and do the install. So this will take a few minutes. So we will be back when it is completed. Okay, so the update for the Android SDK manager has been completed. So now it's basically saying that we need to restart the Android SDK manager in order for the changes to take effect, but we're not going to because we don't really need it at this moment. So I'm going to hit OK, and we will exit out of the Android SDK manager. Let's go back to the main Android Studio menu. So now we want to set up an Android virtual device, and the only way that I found to be able to do that is to go into the actually to create a project and then go into it from that way. So let's go ahead and create a new project, and we're just going to accept the defaults. And this will actually take a few moments to initialize, because I don't know if this is just for the first time or what, but it actually has to go out and download a whole bunch of components for Gradle, which is what it uses to compile the applications. So you notice right here it's downloading these services. So it will take a few moments. So it's a security alert because of the firewall. So I'm going to go ahead and allow access here. Alright, so the build process is almost done. When you're bringing this up the first few times, there's a couple things that will come up. You got a tip of the day. Could be interesting stuff, so you may want to leave it on. Or you can close it and prevent it from coming up anymore just by deselecting that. And then we'll just say, I got this. So now it's doing some indexing and some other stuff, so it'll take a few more moments, and I'm really hoping it doesn't do this every single time. But the things we're going to be looking for momentarily are up here in this area. This little icon right here is for the AVD Manager, the Android Virtual Device Manager. This is the SDK Manager, Software Development Kit Manager. And another one, Android Device Monitor, is actually pretty useful as well if you have a connected device, and that includes the AVDs. So you can use that for things like launching Logcat and seeing if your device is actually connected to your computer for debugging purposes. So it's pretty handy to have. So as soon as this finishes initializing, we will go ahead and launch the AVD Manager and create a virtual device. Okay, so it's finally initializing. It's bringing up the files. It's created all the folders and all that kind of stuff necessary for your project. When you're using BuzzTouch projects, all that stuff's already created for you. It's also got a preview pane here that it's drawing, which is actually pretty cool. It shows you a Nexus 4 and how your app looks on it. Let's go ahead and launch the AVD Manager while we're waiting. Alright, so there's the AVD Manager. So this is where we're going to create our Android virtual devices. Start by hitting create. And it gives us this screen. If you want to give it a name, let's go ahead and call it BuzzTouch. Pick a device. Lots of devices to choose from here. Let's go with the newest Nexus 7. Target for the API, we're going to go with the Android 4.0. And there's only one choice for the CPU type at the moment. Skin, I like a skin with dynamic hardware controls. It shows you hardware that you can use. You can add a front camera or a back camera as appropriate for that device. Change the memory, the amount of internal storage, SD card, and stuff like that. If you select this snapshot thing here, theoretically it will allow the AVD to start up faster each time because there's a snapshot of what it looks like. So you can create that if you want. And then all you do is hit OK. And now you've created it according to these parameters right here. And you'll notice you now have virtual device configured. And you can hit start if you want to start it up. I'm not going to do that. But this is how you actually create it. So that's the Android Virtual Device Manager. And if you go back in the Android Studio here, well, there should be a preview thing here. Yes, there you go. So this is the little preview thing that shows you what your app looks like. So it's kind of cool. Anyways, that is how you install Android Studio along with the Java Development Kit and configuring the Android SDK and Android AVD on Windows 8.1. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the video on YouTube. And good luck with your developing, and look forward to getting some more tutorials to you soon. Happy developing.